Khosrow I was regarded as one of the greatest Shahanshahs to rule the Sassanid Persian Empire during the latter half of the 6th century AD. He was known for continuing the work that his predecessor and father Kaveh I started, which was making major reforms in the social, military, and economic aspects of the empire, establishing a professional army, and founding or rebuilding many cities, palaces, and infrastructure. It was due to all his successes that he earned the epithet of Anoushirvan, translated as the Immortal Soul. In this video, we will focus on the military reforms he enacted in order to further strengthen the Sassanid military in order to increase the effectiveness of the army. By this time, the Sassanids had suffered several humiliating defeats against the Heptalite White Huns from Central Asia, one of which even included the death of a previous Shahanshah, Perros I. With these reforms, the manpower and battle effectiveness of the Sassanid war machine could help turn the tide of this conflict, and be of crucial importance for future conflicts to come. The first of these reforms was the implementation of the 4 Spabod system. Spabod is translated as Army Chief, which was the title given to generals of the army. Prior to Khosrow's reign, the Sassanid Empire resembled their previous Achaemenid forebears in which there were a large number of satrapies, each of whom required its own bureaucracy and regional commander. This made administration more costly and inefficient. In addition, there was only one Spabod, known as the Iran Spabod, or Artishtaran Salat. This office was equivalent to the Roman Magister Militum, or Master of Armies. Khosrow decided to split this office into 4, so as to have an available commander posted in each frontier. There was the Abakstar Spabod to the north to retaliate against nomadic Khazar raiders, the Nemru Spabod to do the same against raids from the Arab tribes in the Persian Gulf region, the Khorasan Spabod in the east to check the expansion of the nomadic Heptalite Huns, and finally the Khobaran Spabod to the west, to maintain the borders between Iran Shah and Byzantium. In addition, each Spabod had a subordinate commander known as the Marzban, who was mainly in charge of administering the border provinces and protecting trade routes. The Mundashin text makes note of another office called the Spabodan Spabod, or Spabod-in-Chief, which would indicate that there was still a Master of Armies after the eradication of the Iran Spabod office. This office likely coordinated and supervised the regional Spabods when the empire faced a multi-front war. This scenario would occur during the long and final war against Rome from 602 to 628 AD, during which time the Sassanids faced a major Arab raid at Decon in 610, as well as a Turco-Heptalite invasion from Central Asia in 619. Nobility in the Sassanid period can be distinguished in 2 groups, greater and lesser nobility. The greater nobility was similar to that of European nobles, where they were a smaller group composed of elites who were landed in the gentry, and had great estates and vast wealth inherited and accumulated for generations. It was amongst this class that was the Shah's primary source of elite knights, known as the Asvaran. The problem with this was that these nobles wielded considerable power and did not need to rely on Ctesiphon for their wealth or maintenance, due to the fact that Ctesiphon was not a capital in the strictest sense in the way that Constantinople was. Many Persian nobles resided outside of Ctesiphon and governed their respective domains almost autonomously. To help fix this problem, Khosrow promoted the younger, lesser nobles into the ranks of the Asvaran into what was called the Decon Corps. Rubin notes that, instead of an army of retainers brought to the field by powerful feudal lords over whom the king had little control, there was now an army directly recruited and remunerated by the king. This allowed for an additional source of manpower for replenishing the ranks of the elite cavalry. However, by this action it now fell upon the central government to provide their pay and the standardization of the Asvaran's equipment. Previously, the quality of equipment utilized by these troops varied according to the individual's rank and wealth. Khosrow procured a list of equipment that the cavalry should possess. This included a helmet, gorget, chainmail shirt, lamellar coat or cuirass, leg armor, gauntlets, sword, shield, 2 bows with spare strings, 30 arrows, an axe or mace, and horse armor. Another corps of troops implemented into Khosrow's new army was an elite infantry contingent composed of Daylamites. The Daylamites were a group of Iranian warriors that originated from the Daylam highlands in northern Iran. The Sassanids continued to further recognize the importance of infantry, and Khosrow desperately needed to recruit high-quality infantrymen in order to counter the notorious training and discipline of the professional Roman infantry. Khosrow also began a new system of surprise military inspections. where he would arrive unannounced at the head of a large force to the military bases of the 4 regional commanders and conduct a rigorous inspection regimen upon his arrival. This system ensured that garrisons throughout the empire remained in a constant state of readiness. There were 7 distinct reviews: peacetime military reviews, reviews for troops expecting payment from the state, reviews taken upon the arrival of an important official or general, reviews of foreign troops that desired employment, reviews for important national celebrations such as Nowruz and Mehregan, reviews for welcoming foreign dignitaries, reviews for military preparation before the outbreak of war. These crucial reforms were necessary for the continuing durability of the Sassanid Empire, as their neighboring enemies were getting stronger as the centuries progressed. Towards the end of his reign, Khosrow's reforms were about to be put to the test. After having formed a successful alliance with the rising nomadic Göktürk Khaganate to destroy the Hephthalites, the relations between these two states soured over disputes regarding the Silk Road trade and the rejection by the Shah to allow the Turks free access to Iranian markets, which would have been economically untenable for the empire. Thus, hostilities were to ensue soon, which I will cover soon in future videos.